Welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar. We have an amazing presentation for you today. As you all know, as you settle in, go ahead and just write in the chat and let us know where you're joining from. We'll get settled in for a few minutes before we get started. You can let us know where you're coming from. You can grab your coffee, grab your tea, close those office doors. Welcome. Hope you enjoy the music for a few minutes before we get started. This is one of my favorite calming playlists that I listen to when I'm doing any type of quiet work, and it's instrumental covers of like top pop songs. So let me know if you know which song's playing right now. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, we're going to get started right on the dot today because we have a lot to go through with you today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm already going to go ahead and stop that music for us. And as we get started, we have some fun news to share before we dive in. So I'm actually going to bring my co-host Kaya back on to share some news with you about our social activities happening.
Thanks so much, Maddie. Yeah, super excited to share that we have lots of announcements today, and being part of our Thursday webinar crew. You guys are some of the first people to find out these super exciting announcements. And another place that you can find out these super exciting announcements, what's going on at Hi Mama, all the initiatives we're doing for our early childhood educators, and what's to come with Hi Mama is on our social media. We're actually running a little mini webinar series. So if you say Thursday's not enough, I need more webinars, join us every Tuesday on your lunch, 12 o'clock Eastern time. We are running mini webinars every Tuesday from 12 to about 12:30. I'll pop the link in the chat here so you can join our private Facebook group. It's called Circle Time. It's it's full of tons of amazing educators. They're sharing their activity ideas, their questions. So come join us on Circle Time. I'll pop it in the chat one more time, and we hope to see you there.
Thanks so much, Kaya. Very exciting. Hope you can all attend those mini webinars with Kaya. And we'll dive into some of our disclaimers before we get started. So as you all know, unless you're new here, we are not the faces of legal or financial advice. So what we want from these webinars is that you're taking away some really helpful tips and tricks, techniques, and advice that you can bring into your centers, into your classrooms. But if you are looking to make any big changes at your center, we just want to make sure that you are contacting the right people to make those decisions, such as a licensing rep, a legal, or a financial advisor to help you with those big decisions. And I'm going to go ahead and play our land acknowledgement for us today.
Hi Mama acknowledges that our main headquarters is situated in Toronto, Ontario, on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word takaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing. As participants and guests in today's webinar, we are coming together from many different places around the world. We encourage you to learn about and acknowledge the land from which you participate.
And I will play for you now our diversity and inclusion statement.
Hi Mama is committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming environment for our employees, customers, and community. Hi Mama welcomes and celebrates individuals of all backgrounds, orientations, and identities. Our Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee aims to ensure we provide a safe environment for everyone to thrive while bringing their authentic selves to work. Our mission is to promote an inclusive workspace for all employees through education, discussion, and celebration of our differences. Embracing these differences while coming together with a common purpose is what makes our team extra special.
Okay. And a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. So this session is recorded. You will be able to access it in the show notes email that you will receive probably early next week. We are recording with the closed captions on. You can turn on the closed captions for the viewing today by clicking the CC tab on your Zoom. In terms of certificates, so for attending the live session today, a certificate will be sent out to everybody who has attended, along with the slides and recording. So again, just keep an eye out in your email early next week and you'll receive those. Lastly, if you are having any issues at all, we do recommend you direct those questions to support.zoom.us. They will be able to help you with any Zoom related questions that you have. Okay, and welcome to Hi Mama. If you haven't heard about us before, we're super excited that you are here with us today. If you don't know about Hi Mama, we are a childcare management software. We help support centers and educators with all their developmental documentation, your daily reports, staff management, billing, assessment. It is all available in Hi Mama. If you would like to learn more, Kaya will be posting a link in the chat so you can contact someone at Hi Mama and we can walk you through what Hi Mama is all about and the purpose of our company in the early childhood education space. And if you are part of the Hi Mama family or thinking about joining the Hi Mama family, you will have world-class support. I can promise you that. I used to be on the customer success team. Kaya used to be on our support team. We can absolutely vouch for the people you will be working with if you do sign up for Hi Mama. Our customer support team is very dedicated to supporting our customers, have a very successful launch at the Hi Mama program at their center. And we also have amazing podcasts, hundreds of free activities, articles, and to top it off, we are a B certified company. So what that means is, as well as working with our lovely customers, we are set out to make a positive impact in the early childhood education space. And last but not least, before we do get started, we have some very exciting news. I'm so happy you're all here today to hear firsthand some of the first people to hear about this. We are hosting our second early learning conference in January. This conference is all about learning and development and leveling up your center in 2022. If you went to our last summit, you know how amazing it was, and we are doing it again. We have an amazing lineup of speakers ready to come and talk to us and learn all Saturday long in January. It is free. It is accessible for all directors, parents, educators, anyone who wants to attend. Kaya has posted a link in the chat. I highly recommend you sign up for our summit. I will be hosting and I really hope to see you all there. And a little bit about your hosts. Again, if you haven't heard the news and you're confused about whose face it is that's speaking right now, my name is Maddie. I have taken over the hosting position of our webinars from our wonderful host, Ria, who made an announcement a few weeks ago that Ria is going on maternity leave. So I will be here moving forward. And I'm very excited to be here with all of you. I am one of the early childhood educators here at Hi Mama, and I'm also the customer advocacy specialist. So if you are one of our wonderful Hi Mama customers, I get the wonderful job of just getting to hear your stories and experiences in the early childhood education space. So I hope to meet a lot of you. And we also have our wonderful co-host, Kaya. Kaya, do you want to pop on? Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your world today?
Yeah, so much is going on. Maddie, first of all, welcome. This is your second time hosting webinar with us. You did a wonderful job last week. I want to see so much love for Maddie in the chat. We're so excited to have Maddie with us. So make sure you say hi to her, welcome her to our lovely Therapy Thursday, as a lot of our webinar attendees have dubbed it. I am here for support. So if you have any issues or have any questions for our lovely presenters today, make sure you pop them in the Q&A section so that we can answer them live. And if you need anything, I'm here on the back end, just secretly typing away. And make sure you sign up for our summit. I'm super excited for that. It's going to be great.
Thanks so much, Kaya. And finally, we have our wonderful guests, Roxanne and Valerie from Learning Without Tears. We are so excited to have you here. Valerie and Roxanne, why don't you go ahead and turn your cameras on and join us on the webinar today. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Before we get started, why don't you each just tell us a little bit about who you are and a fun fact about you before we get started.
Okay, I'll get started. My name is Roxanne Thompson. I am a national presenter and content specialist with Learning Without Tears. I am also a pediatric occupational therapist. And so this is my happy place to be, talking about young children and how they develop. I live just north of Dallas, Texas, with my 2 kids, my dog, and my husband. So I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Amazing, thank you.
And my name is Valerie Zaryczny, and I'm also a national workshop presenter and content specialist for Learning Without Tears and a pediatric occupational therapist. And I've spent most of my career as an OT in early childhood, in early intervention and early childhood centers. So I love being here with Hi Mama and what you all are doing for educators. And so happy to see so many of you logged in today. I live in Greenville, South Carolina. I saw a few people from the Carolinas so far in the chat, so welcome to you. And I live with my husband and 2 young children.
Amazing. Thank you so much to both of you for being here today. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I will let you take it from here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Here we go. Welcome to today's webinar. We're excited to be here. We're going to talk about 5 ways to boost social emotional learning at your center. Preschool is such an important year for children, and we know that that transition from those preschool years going into kindergarten is an important milestone, but it can also be stressful. And so we're going to talk about how to make it less stressful. But when you add a pandemic on top of that, it can be even more difficult and uncertain. So we're going to ease your mind about a lot of what's been going on lately. You know, during the past few years, families, children have all struggled to deal with the realities of the pandemic, and we've all been put under immense stress, and including the children, but managing to find ways to promote the social and emotional learning of young children is more vital now than it really ever has been before. So social emotional learning really should be a focus for teachers, for families, for all of us working with young children, to really help them to build their readiness skills to ensure that they are confident and ready to transition into kindergarten. Therefore, our objectives for our webinar today will focus on how we can boost social emotional learning throughout the child's day, whether they're with you at your center or they're at home. So we're going to address 5 objectives together. We're going to learn creative ways to boost social emotional learning in your center at home. We're going to energize learning and positive feelings with music and movement that we can incorporate throughout their day. We're going to identify ways to incorporate things like fine motor skills and coloring and drawing, and how can we use those to help boost self-esteem and participation. We're going to talk about the importance of building strong vocabulary and language skills, and talk about how that makes that good connection and how we can connect it with that hands-on learning. And then we're going to discuss strategies to boost confidence and helping children by teaching them how to learn to write their name. So we'll talk about that towards the end. Let's get started by just reviewing how we really define what social and emotional learning. So the term social emotional learning, or it's sometimes referred to as SEL, has really been around for a long time. It's been around for about 25 years. And the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, which is sometimes otherwise known as CASEL, defines social emotional learning this way. It's an integral part of education and human development. It's the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, and achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. That's a lot. There's a lot going on with social emotional development. Social and emotional learning is especially important in these early years because these skills are really essential for long-term success in school and in life. Yet research shows that some children, especially those that are under stress, are more likely to show delays in these skills. So we're going to talk about ways that we can really incorporate this into their world. And we're going to do it in 5 ways. So we're going to start out by talking about how to just incorporate this into your daily routines. That's really the easiest thing to do. We're going to talk about how using music and movement to combine with social emotional learning and sensory motor activities to make this fun. We're going to talk about how to merge social emotional learning with things like fine motor skills and how to merge it with vocabulary and language-based activities, and then how it impacts letter learning and name writing. So I'm going to let Valerie get us started with our first subject that we're going to talk about, how to incorporate this into daily routines.
Thanks, Roxanne. Well, before 2020, you might not have had a set time in your day, whether you're a teacher or a parent, where you dedicated time to social emotional development of the children that you work with every day. Well, we suggest updating your daily schedule to include a set time for social emotional learning into the daily routine. And that's not to say that you shouldn't be thinking about addressing ways to boost social emotional learning during all of your activities throughout the day, but this is a time that you can really dedicate to social emotional learning. So in this section, I'll be sharing 4 ideas that you can use to incorporate social emotional learning into the daily routine, including leveraging your use of books, encouraging self-expression, promoting self-regulation, and providing opportunities for children to practice with each other. So let's start with talking about using books to promote social emotional learning. Most of us are reading books with children daily already, and books can be an effective way to promote discussions about feelings and social interactions. Choose books with topics and stories that invite these discussions and ask children meaningful questions afterwards. There's so many books out there that help children talk about their feelings and promote self-expression. A couple of our favorites that you might already know and love are I Like Myself by Karen Beaumont and The World Needs More Purple People by Kristen Bell. And I would love to hear some of your favorite books that you use to promote discussions about feelings and social skills. So go ahead and put into the chat 1 or 2 of your favorites, and maybe you can jot down some new ideas of books to add to your library from everyone's suggestions. I love it. I see them coming in now. For the books that you're reading in the classroom, a great way to make a school to home connection is to communicate the titles of those books to the parents so they can read them at home and have discussions about them together. Or you can consider letting families check out or borrow classroom books to read at home. We suggest repeating the same book for about a week and then use that opportunity to ask critical thinking questions. And the type of questions that we ask is really important. When you're discussing what you've read in a book, try to use open-ended questions. So you can ask, what happened in the story? Or what was your favorite part of the book? Why was it your favorite? I love all these book suggestions that are still coming through, but I have another chat request for you now. I would love to now hear, what are some of your favorite open-ended questions that you like to use after you read a book with your students and with your children? So go ahead and share some of those so we can all see your ideas of good ways to get the children thinking and responding and talking about feelings and other social skills. I wonder if you have experienced that. I love that. What did you see?
I like the question, what would you have done? I think that's great.
What would you have done? Yes.
I love that. Awesome.
What was your favorite part? Great. Thank you guys so much for participating in the chat. This is awesome. And remember, when you're asking these questions, that the child's response is just as important as the question that you're asking. So something that I personally have to work on when asking questions is that wait time. Waiting about 5 to 10 seconds after asking a question is so important to give time for the child to think and formulate a response and allow them to fully answer the question without interruption. It's also really important to show that you're interested in the child's answers and to keep that conversation going until the child gives you clues to move on. Okay, let's move on to another way to add social emotional learning into the daily routine, and that's to provide regular opportunities for self-expression. Think about ways that children can act out a story or a character after reading a book. For example, you could ask children to show how they can make themselves big like a dinosaur or fall to the ground gracefully like a falling leaf. And you can guide children to act out different feelings that characters express in the book. And that was some of your ideas with the questions you were asking too. Ask them to show you and demonstrate what it feels like to be mad by stomping their feet, or what it feels like to be happy by jumping for joy. And when they have those opportunities to practice demonstrating different emotions and recognizing the emotions in their peers, it helps them develop self-awareness for their own feelings. And it contributes to developing empathy for their friends. It's so important to realize that children are more likely to talk about their own emotions when they feel safe. And one aspect of helping children feel safe is by creating an environment that promotes children feeling calm and regulated, which is our third tip for adding social emotional learning into the daily routine. Classrooms are busy and sometimes they can be loud and overstimulating. So consider adding activities into your routine to promote self-regulation, to help children maintain the calm state that's needed for learning and for interacting with peers in a positive way. Let me give you an example. There's a preschool teacher named Jen from Washington that recently described to us how she's recently adjusted her instruction to place more emphasis on social emotional learning. And part of that, she's introduced more calming strategies into her day. So she told us that she planned some activities that can be done as a whole group, like child-friendly yoga is an example of something you could do with your whole group, and other strategies like a calming corner where students can go when they need to recharge. And then one last tip that she gave us, that she'll even diffuse lavender or other essential oils that are known to provide a calming effect. So think about some ways that you can create an environment or routines that promote self-regulation with the children in your life. A benefit of children feeling calm and safe is that they're able to communicate with peers and adults more effectively. And that leads into our final tip in this section for adding social emotional learning to your daily routine is to provide fun, structured opportunities every day for children to practice social skills with their peers. There's so many ways that you can have children practice social skills. You can use games and outdoor play and music activities. Even the intentional sharing of art materials during a craft activity can provide an opportunity to promote and practice the skills that are needed to make friends and have those healthy relationships with one another. We have a fun video of a music activity that can be used to practice social skills. It features the Hello song, which is one of the Learning Without Tears music activities from one of our music albums. And singing and acting out this song with your students is a great way to build community, but also to directly teach the skill of meeting someone new, like the importance of eye contact and the power of smiling. So let's watch this together.
Hello song.
1, 2, you know what to do. Little kids can wave bye-bye, but only big kids know how to stand perfectly still and say hello. Give 'em your right hand, look 'em in the eye, put a smile on your face, then you say hi. Give 'em your right hand, look 'em in the eye, put a smile on your face, then you say hi. It's nice to meet you, how do you do? They'll be so happy to be meeting you. Greetings are a way to say, I hope you have a wonderful day. Give 'em your right hand, look 'em in the eye, put a smile on your face, and then you say hi. Give 'em your right hand, look 'em in the eye, put a smile on your face, and then you say hi. I'm a big kid and I know to use my right hand when I say hello, to put my right hand for you to take. We meet each other and we shake, shake, shake. So give 'em your right hand, look 'em in the eye, put a smile on your face. Then you say hi. Give 'em your right hand, look 'em in the eye, put a smile on your face. Then you say hi. Give 'em your right hand, look 'em in the eye, put a smile on your face. Then you say hi. Give 'em your right hand, look 'em in the eye, put a smile on your face. Then you say hi. Hi.
Isn't that cute? It's a really fun music activity, and music is not only a great way to practice social skills, you can use music to promote all kinds of social emotional learning, and it also gives children an opportunity to get moving, which we all know is so important. It's so powerful and effective that we have a whole section on it. So Roxanne is going to share some more fun social ways to incorporate music and movement into the day.
Thanks, Valerie. Young children love to sing and dance and move, and music encourages all of this while building language and movement and social emotional development. Think about it this way. Think about how you feel when one of your favorite songs comes on. Maybe it's the YMCA, maybe it's the Cha-Cha Slide. I want you to take just a second and think about some of your favorite songs that you like to use in your classroom. I want you to think about the ones that really get kids energized and excited. Take a second and put some of those in the chat, because maybe there are some that some people haven't heard of or tried before. So I think this is a good place for us to share some of those fun song ideas. Music is an easy and natural activity to boost everyone's mood during this time of social distancing. We suggest that you have some set time each day for music and dance in the classroom, and telling families how beneficial this is to have at home too. Both of my kids are big. My oldest is in college, my youngest is in high school, but when they were young, we had lots of dance parties at our house. Lots of fun. Just moving and singing and laughing and dancing is always going to be fun. Whatever it is that you're wanting to get going, music and movement have the power to really transform our lives in positive ways. So I'm going to play another video showing children singing and moving to a song that's called Smile. And I want you to think about how this song encourages children to share and talk about their feelings. And maybe you can imagine children maybe going from sad to smiling after singing this song, and maybe you will too. So let's watch this Smile video together.
Smile.
Smile. When you're happy, you will smile. And then in just a little while, you will see another smile. Smile, 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 smile. When something makes you very scared, call a friend who's always cared. You'll feel better when it's shared, so you can smile. When you're so mad you want to fight, please do not hit or hurt or bite. Use your words to feel alright, so you can smile. When something makes you want to cry, let the tears fall from your eyes. Then the sadness will pass by, so you can smile. Smile. When you're happy, you will smile. And then in just a little while, you will see another smile. Smile, 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 smile.
Smiling is definitely contagious, as well as laughing. Children love to watch other children sing and dance, and think about how you can begin your circle time with this song, then continue asking your children, what makes you smile? And speaking of smiling, it's hard not to smile when we say hello to Matman. Is there anyone out there familiar with Matman? If you have used the Matman activity, put it in the chat. Let us know what you thought. It's one of our favorite activities that we do with young children, but Matman is an engaging activity that includes singing. It's also a group activity where we're going to learn how to build Matman together. So we're pulling in that cooperation. As you build Matman together, you can stop and talk about what we do with different parts of our body and where they are on the children. It's also an opportunity to talk about things that we have that are similar and different from our friends and how we can appreciate those things. For those of you new to Matman, let's explore what it's all about. So to build Matman, you use the wood pieces that you see on that slide. Each wood piece has an important name. So just moving from top to bottom, we have our big curve, our little line, and our big line. Now we will also use these wood pieces a little bit later on. We'll talk about using them to build capital letters. But we'll also use this blue foam mat that you see. That blue rectangle is actually a foam mat that we also use for letter building as well. And then we have some cutouts for Matman's hands. Now for his eyes and nose, you can use things like bottle caps or coins or round blocks, really whatever you can find. You could even just cut some circles out of paper. Now, if you don't have the wood pieces yet, we'll be providing you with a free download link in the attendee chat where you can print out the pattern and you can cut them out yourself. So you can still do this activity even if you don't have those actual wood pieces that you see on this screen. So this is a great activity that children can do at your center or at home. We use the same wood pieces, like I said, to build capital letters, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But let's look at how this Matman activity really works. So we're going to start with placing two big curves to make Matman's head. Now I would stop here and I would ask them, do you have a head? Where is it? And so we would all find where our head is. And then we're going to add two bottle caps or coins or whatever you want to use. These will be Matman's eyes. I would ask the children, what do we do with our eyes? We see, right? Where are your eyes? We could talk about different color eyes that we might have and how some people have the same and some people have different. Then we're going to use another circle for his nose, and then we'll use a little curve for the mouth, and then two little curves for Matman's ears. Now, for those of you that are working with young children, maybe 3 or younger, maybe you want to stop here. Maybe we just want to start with the face and the head, and let's just talk about the different parts that we have. Let's just practice building that. And then once they get good at that, we can keep moving. So then we can add the body, and then we can add big lines for Matman's arms, and then Matman's hands. Now, again, if you've got younger kids, maybe you want to stop here. And we want to just get good at this part. So you can really scaffold this activity to meet everyone's needs. You could even ask your students, do you want to give Matman a hand, right? We could give Matman a high five, and we can do that by tracing their hands and cutting them out where they all have their own little hands where they can give Matman a high five. My Matman hands that I still use to this day were my son's hands when he was 3 that I traced and cut out and laminated, and I still use them every time I do this activity, and he's a freshman in college now, so it's kind of sweet. Every time I see those hands, it makes me super happy. Let's keep building though. We're going to use 2 big lines for his legs and then 2 little lines for Matman's feet. And you could even give Matman a belly button if you wanted to, and that way we can really start to understand where the top, the middle, where the belly button is, and then the bottom where his feet are. So we can really start to understand that top to bottom approach. Matman has lots of different purposes. We can work on number concepts. So we can count body parts. We can count fingers. We can count how many ears we have, how many feet we have. We can work on body awareness, right? Where all of these parts are and what we use them for, and how Matman has 2 ears and I have 2 ears. And we can also work on that social emotional piece because we're going to be able to build Matman together. So we're going to do this as a group activity. And it also has a drawing activity as well, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But to bring in that social emotional piece, we can ask children to show what Matman's face might look like if he were sad or if he were mad. You can turn that little curve that we have for his mouth, we could turn it upside down to make him frown. We could cut out eyebrows out of construction paper if you wanted to make kind of mad eyebrows so that he could make different facial expressions. We could make Matman look scared. We have a lot of classrooms that really get excited about Matman, and they use them with different themed units and dress them up with different activities. So you can have a lot of fun with Matman. Matman also loves to accessorize. And we had a classroom send us this picture, or both of these pictures. And I love the one on the left. You can notice in this one, he has his mask on and he's got his hand sanitizer in his hand. I love it. Depending on where you're located, maybe it's chilly enough for Matman to wear a hat and mittens and a scarf. Where I live, it's not quite that cold yet, but we can talk about different seasons and what we need to do before we go outside if it's actually cold. Think about how you can adapt Matman just with the current environment and have fun with it. Have lots of fun with it. You can also encourage your families to work on Matman at home, and sometimes this just kind of happens on its own. I have had plenty of families ask me, Roxanne, what is this? They'll take a picture and they'll text it to me. And they're like, what is this? I'm like, oh, it's Matman. You can build Matman out of all kinds of different objects. You can think about things like pipe cleaners and paper plates, spoons, blocks, Legos. If you look at the example on the right, you can see how this child actually cut out the lungs and the heart and the stomach. Very, very creative. I love to do Matman out of food, crackers, pretzel sticks, Twizzlers, lots of different ideas, raisins for his eyes and his nose. So you can have a lot of fun with Matman. But now Valerie's going to share how to use that Matman activity and other drawing and coloring activities to really help to boost self-esteem and self-expression as children learn how to draw themselves. It's exciting stuff. Valerie?
Thanks, Roxanne. So before children are able to use handwriting skills to write out their thoughts and ideas, drawing and coloring are powerful ways for young children to express themselves. Drawing comes really easily to some children, you know those children in your life, but others need direct instruction. You just learned about the Matman building activity, which is a great way to help children learn about the shapes and lines and sequence needed to draw a person. So you can take that building activity and then transfer it to paper. When you do that, model for children how to form the shapes and the lines and how to make Matman come to life on paper, and let children imitate each part right after you demonstrate. When using the Matman activity, you can see quick improvement with children's skill to draw their own self-portrait. Look at these before and after pictures. Can you see the difference? They're from the same day. The first picture on the left is a self-portrait drawn before the Matman building activity. And the second picture was drawn after these children had a turn to build Matman. So looking at that top picture, we can tell that this is a child who is frustrated about drawing a person, but look at his after picture. Such an improvement, right? The Matman activity helped give him the skill and confidence he needed to draw a person successfully. Let's look at the second picture now. Matman inspired this girl to add more details to her picture and to even try drawing some other figures like a pet. Developmentally, we know that children begin by simply drawing a head and legs and arms, but their skills quickly progress to add other details and then turn their template of Matman into any person that they're thinking about. Once children have learned how to draw a person, a great activity is to have children draw Matman with different emotions. Roxanne talked about building Matman with different emotions, and once you've transitioned to paper, now we can draw Matman with different emotions. You can have children share a time when they experienced a certain emotion, like when they were scared or excited or sad, and then have them draw a picture of Matman showing that feeling. Or you can even have children make up stories about Matman and draw a picture about how he feels in the adventure or the scenario that they create. When they finished a drawing, a really powerful habit to get into is to ask children to tell you about the picture and then write down what they say. Write down what words that they tell you about their picture so that when they send that picture home at the end of the day, You can make that school to home connection with families so they can then discuss Matt Mann and his feelings, which might open the opportunity for the family to talk about their own feelings together. So I would love to hear some of your ideas in the chat. I see there's a lot of activity going on already, but chat in some other ideas to boost social emotional learning with drawing and coloring types of activities. Love to hear what ideas you have that you just thought of, or ones that you've used in the past. Painting to music, I love that. We're going to talk about coloring and how it's relaxing and promotes that self-regulation in just a minute. What else? Rock painting, a melting snowman. That is a fun craft activity to do in the winter. We'll keep those ideas coming, and while you're chatting in and thinking, I'll share an idea for you. You can have children draw and color to make feeling sticks, and that might be a fun new activity for you to add into what you're already doing. There's lots of different feelings that can be explored through this activity, but a good way to start is by using happy and sad. You can make these feeling sticks in many different ways. And an added bonus is that you can also be addressing fine motor skills and cutting with scissors, drawing, coloring, using glue, all of those important school readiness skills while you do the social emotional learning task. So once they're made, you can discuss the different emotions represented on the feeling sticks and ask questions such as, hold up the stick that shows how you're feeling right now, or tell about a time that you felt like this, and you're holding up that emotion, that face. You can invite parents to make a set of these feeling sticks at home so they can discuss with their child how they're feeling throughout their day. And it's a good idea to give parents suggestions of questions that encourage children to share their feelings, such as, what was the funniest thing that happened at school today? Or did anything make you sad at school today? Or what are you most proud of that happened today? Promoting those social emotional skills through arts and craft activities is a great way to boost children's emotional intelligence and help with school success, those important school readiness skills, like I mentioned. But calming also comes from coloring and drawing. As we had that chat about painting to music, I love that idea. And I'm wondering if any of you have an adult coloring book. I actually have quite a few because it is calming to spend time coloring and set your mind on something different than the stressors of the day. Coloring books for adults have risen in popularity in recent years because we've realized it is calming and organizing as we color. And it's because of the rhythmic movement that we're doing while we're coloring. And it's powerful because we shift our attention from some negative feelings or something that's stressful to something that's pleasurable and fun. And the same concept can be applied to children as well. So think about incorporating coloring activities into your routine to promote self-regulation, which we talked about earlier. And an added bonus is that crayon coloring is one of the best ways to prepare a child's hand for handwriting. So it's beneficial for so many reasons to offer opportunities for children to color every day. Make it fun and think of different themes that you can color, like pictures of holidays or seasons. You can have children color by number or even learn letters as they're coloring. Discuss the picture and subject as children are coloring to promote those language skills, and also make sure to reinforce holding the crayon correctly. By the way, if you're looking for tips on teaching crayon grip and promoting fine motor skill development, check out the Hi Mama webinar from October that was presented by 2 of our Learning Without Tears colleagues. It's called How to Teach Fine Motor Skills to Young Children. All right, well, now we're going to switch gears, and Roxanne is going to show us some ways to boost social emotional learning through building children's vocabulary and language skills.
All right, thanks, Valerie. I love coloring. It's one of those things that I always tell my families, you can never overcolor with your children. You can never overread to them, and you can never overcolor color with them. It's always a good activity. Let's talk about improving vocabulary and language skills and what that offers young children. We want to make sure that we're giving them increased opportunities to learn how to interact with each other, right? We want them to thrive in an environment that is rich with language, and improving our children's vocabulary is always going to be one of our, priorities when we're working with young children. And developing a rich vocabulary is important because vocabulary is knowledge. And when children grasp a word's meaning, they understand what the word represents. And in turn, they understand the relationships of ideas and concepts that go along with that word. So use everyday activities to boost vocabulary. Take opportunities during circle time to ask them, what games do you like to play? During snack time, what's your favorite food? After story time, what's your favorite character in the book and why? When you're playing outside, what activities do you like to play? So encourage those conversations throughout the day, not just between you and them, but between each other, so that they learn how to communicate with each other. With young learners, be sure to repeat words, use lots of pictures and real objects to really help them understand those vocabulary words so that it will reinforce them and they'll be able to use them in their everyday language. There's many ways to increase language skills throughout the classroom and at home, and evidence also shows that early success at reading acquisition leads to a lifetime of strong reading habits. So provide opportunities to have children talk about how they're feeling and ask them those open-ended questions to provide that more in-depth response. We want children to express their thoughts. We want them to ask for help. We want them to learn how to problem solve and learn how to learn from one another. And we do that through communication. This can all occur through conversations, which will help increase those language skills. And research states that the more words a student hears by the time that they're 3 years old, the more success they will show in just overall academic skills later in life. So it's important that they're hearing those words and getting that language developed. And it's almost as easy as the ABCs, which is what I wanted to touch on next. One critical skill to build a solid literacy foundation is alphabet knowledge. And research tells us that children who can identify and name the letters of the alphabet will have early reading success. Educators and parents alike often have questions about how to teach the ABCs, right? We all know that ABC song, and that's always a good place to start. It's always my go-to place to start. And at Learning Without Tears, we actually have several, versions of that ABC song to really make learning the alphabet fun. We have some versions that are just instrumental, that we can point to the letters as we're listening to the song and as we're singing with our own voices. We also have my favorite version of the ABC song, which is our inside outside song, where we sing the ABCs using our inside voice for some of the letters and our outside voice for other letters. And it's always fun when you're young to use your outside voice in the classroom, because we don't normally get to do that. So have fun with it. You can also work on alphabet knowledge and social emotional learning by giving your children a card with the letter of the alphabet on it, and then let them find their letter partner. If you're going to partner up for an activity, you can have them work together to put the letters in alphabetical order. So lots of ways that you can incorporate alphabet knowledge and letter learning into those small group and partner activities. So let's talk a little bit about letter learning. I want us to talk about name writing as well. But in the beginning with our young children, they're not always ready for pencil paper practice. I know we think that's kind of the first place that we should go, but they'll actually do a little bit better with starting with hands-on approach to writing letters. And it really does make letter learning fun and engaging while we can establish some of those good habits. So let's look at a few fun ways that you can work with letter building. So young children can learn letter formation through letter building activities. Building letters with using multi-sensory activities is going to make it fun, where we're really tapping into different senses: smell, touch. Children who learn letter formation also learn to recognize their letters more quickly. And so it's key to provide that tactile, the movement experience when building letters. And to increase social emotional learning, we can have them work in small groups or in pairs when they're using some of these letter building manipulatives or some others that you might have at your center. We like to use things like Play-Doh, shaving cream, salt, rice, and you can put them in little trays. If you see in the very center of that row of letter D's, the one that's red, that's actually in like a plastic tray that you can put other substances in. Now that one has Play-Doh on it, but you can use that for all different kinds of ways. Get creative, have fun. Maybe start with the letters of their name. That's always a fun place to start because they're usually very motivated by that. And those letters are often more familiar to them. And that can lead us into writing letters, which will then lead us into writing the letters of their name. So hands-on letter play actually prepares children for that writing process. So we're going to start with the hands-on approach, and then we're going to go to crayon paper. We want to start with letters that have vertical and horizontal lines because those letters are going to be easier for them to write. Then we'll bring in the letters that have curves, and then we're going to save those letters that have diagonal lines to the end because those are usually the hardest for students to learn how to write. So provide positive reinforcement while children are engaged in writing. Young learners love to please you, right? They love to please adults. So as they're writing, we want to just give them lots of encouragement. Have your children work together. Let them work in partners where one of them gets to pick the letter that they're going to practice and then the other is going to follow, and then we can switch roles so they all get a turn. We also want to make sure that we're incorporating name writing, as we know that that's an important skill for young children. Name recognition and name writing are important skills to learn because it's something that belongs to them. Once children can recognize the letters of their name, we want to start teaching them how to write them. You can use lots of different activities, like a highlighter. If you want them to trace, let them trace a highlighter. You can provide suggestions for parents to practice this at home. Name writing is one of those things that can sometimes feel time consuming. And so I always like to pull in my families to help me with name writing because it's kind of hard for me to do it with everyone in the classroom because most of the time you don't have everyone that has the same name, right? And so that's a lot of names to practice. So this is a really good home to school connection activity. I think it's also fun as children start to learn the letters of their name and they're starting to write the letters in their name to be able to share that with their classmates and talk about letters that they have the same in their name and letters that they have different. So I have an X in my name in Roxanne, which is not a very common name. And so I think that was always a fun thing for me to do is to say, does anybody else have an X in their name? So they can really pull in kind of that alphabet knowledge piece as well while talking about things that are similar and different. A great free tool that we have that can really help you with lots of different writing activities, but especially with name writing, is our A+ worksheet maker. Learning Without Tears has created a wonderful way to customize worksheets that you can kind of create the worksheet yourself. This is a great way to give children extra practice when writing their name, when writing any of their letters. It is done by kind of by grade level. So we have some tracing worksheets all the way down through our cursive worksheets that we have, but it's a great way for them to really get some good practice. You can actually create a whole library of worksheets if you want to, and we're going to include a link into the attendee chat where you can actually find our free worksheet maker on our website so that you can get started today on making some of those worksheets to practice with your students. So I'm going to turn it back over to Valerie and let her just give us a quick recap of what all we learned today. Valerie?
Yes, I would love to recap what we learned, but I want to also mention how amazing the worksheet maker is. I use it all of the time. And I love that at the pre-K level, it has that adult demonstration, child imitation cue right there on the worksheet, so that we're not giving our young students a lot of worksheets to do independently. It's meant to be done with an adult, and you'll see that right there in the structure when you check it out. So definitely do use all of the free resources we've shared for you today. We have covered a lot of strategies, and I've loved seeing your comments and your thoughts on some of these different topics that we've covered. We've learned creative ways to incorporate social emotional learning into your daily routine. We've learned tips to energize learning and positive feelings with music and movement throughout the day. We've identified fine motor, coloring, and drawing activities you can use to boost self-esteem and participation. We talked about building vocabulary and language skills through thoughtful connections and hands-on learning. And finally, we learned how to boost children's confidence by building and writing letters and learning how to write their name. So we'll have a few minutes, I think, hopefully to answer some of your questions in just a minute. But first, I want to share some resources with those of you who are interested in learning more about Learning Without Tears activities that might be beneficial for your children. Those of you in preschool and daycare settings, you might be interested in learning about the Get Set for School Complete Curriculum, which is a program that's offered in both English and Spanish, and it prepares children for kindergarten through purposeful play and hands-on learning. But the great news is that each program component that you see here can be purchased separately. So if you're just looking for a couple fun, supplemental, effective materials and activities to boost early literacy, math, or writing skills, you can go to the Learning Without Tears website and explore any of these activities independently or as a set. We also offer fun, engaging workshops like this one, but longer and full of helpful strategies and practical applications that you can use right away. You can also plan a customized workshop just for your center. So you can find out more information. I will tell you where to go to find that information in just a minute. We have an area of our website that's specifically for Hi Mama webinar attendees. And the web address is there at the bottom, and it will be updated soon with all of the links that we talked about today and other resources for you to explore. So you can go to go.lwtears.com/Hi Mama 10, and you can learn about the workshops and the resources and some of the activities that we mentioned today. And you can also find out how you can get a 10% off discount on that website too, but we'll go ahead and give you the code is Hi Mama. So if you know you have some things you want to purchase right away, you can use Hi Mama at checkout. So that's what we have for you today. We are going to take a few minutes to answer some questions and wrap up.
Thank you so much, Valerie and Roxanne. That was amazing. I don't know if you've been able to watch the chat too much, but you've given everyone on here so many great ideas to take back into their classroom. Thank you so much. We do have a couple questions we'll go through in our last few minutes here, but I will give you both just a minute or two to take a sip of water, take a breath from all the talking you just did. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Perfect. And I'm also going to go ahead and launch our poll for the audience here. We want to know, how do you communicate with your families about children's social, emotional development at your center? I know finding time for documentation and observation is really challenging. So how do you do that? How do you find the time? What do you use to document this learning for your observations in the classroom? Lots of answers coming in. Thank you so much, everybody. And okay, Valerie and Roxanne, we'll go through a couple questions in our last couple minutes here. I know we don't have too much time. One question that came in. So I know a lot of the audience on the webinar today teach an infant classroom. So we had some questions wondering if you had any specific tips for those young children that some of us care for.
I'll get started, then I'll let Valerie add in. Definitely music. I think that's a good opportunity for just to always kind of have that background music going so that they're hearing it. I always encourage reading to those, even our babies. It's why we tell parents to read to their babies all the time. It's that hearing the language and that little research blurb that I talked about. When children have heard more words between birth and 3, it absolutely affects their academic life later on. So this is really a good time when we can be reading to the babies. I know we think that they're not listening and not tuning in, but they really are. It really is doing them a lot of good. So I would definitely say reading and music are two big things that you can do.
I am 100% agree. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I know we do only have a minute or so left. So what we'll do now is why don't I just see if either of you have any last thoughts, wisdom, pieces of advice that you'd like to leave the audience with today before we wrap up.
Thanks for being here. We're so glad that you came to learn, and we hope that you will come explore more that Learning Without Tears has to offer.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Valerie and Roxanne for being here with us today. We have about 1 minute left. So just as a reminder to everybody on the webinar, we will be sending out a show notes email by early next week. You will receive the slides and a recording of the webinar in that email. So keep an eye out. We also hope to see you again next week. We will be talking about childcare safety and is your center prepared? That will be next week, same time, same place. That is Thursday, December 16th. And if you aren't already connected with us, we have lots of ways for you to stay in contact. We have a Circle Time group on Facebook that is a wonderful, wonderful community of educators sharing ideas and tips and stories about what's going on in their classroom and what they use for Circle Time. We have a Facebook group, Instagram, and we also have our preschool podcast. You can listen to that on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify as well. There is a new one every week. And you can also sign up for our free activities straight to your inbox. Kyle will post a link in the chat if you'd like to sign up for the activities corner, and you can have tons of free activities sent directly to you to help you with new ideas in the classroom. And thank you so much to everybody. We are 3 o'clock Eastern time, right on the dot. I hope you all are taking away some really helpful tips back into your classroom. Thank you so much to all of you for being here with us today. Bye, everyone.